Hello everyone, this is Dr. Vikas Kumar. On behalf of Chetan Bharat Learning, एक बार फिर I welcome you all. Right, so I hope आपको एक kick start मिला होगा and the aim, the purpose will be served soon. See, the aim or the purpose is that you get a very good, foundation for preparing. You get a good base, right, where you can actually excel while preparing for CLAT. And this is the preparation, actually this is the time that really makes a difference. Why? Because this will be retained by your memory. You are very unlikely to forget what you're learning at this stage, right? There's quite a possibility that if we learn very early, then we tend to forget very early also. But if we learn late, then it is quite natural that, by the time we end up taking the exam, we remember it. Great. So we are talking about logical reasoning. Logical reasoning contains some very important or very crisp actually reading comprehension passages, and those passages have a specific technique to deal with. अच्छा, before we continue, एक हमारे स्टूडेंट हैं ध्रुव करके, जिन्होंने ये रिक्वेस्ट किया है कि क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग को भी हम इंक्लूड करें. डेफिनेटली हम क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग भी पढ़ाएंगे आपको. जो जिस तरीके से हम इन्फर करते हैं वो भी पढ़ाएंगे, जिस तरीके से सेंट्रल आइडिया निकालते हैं वो भी पढ़ाएंगे. चलिए लेट्स कंटिन्यू. सो छोटा सा पैसेज है. लास्ट वीडियो में वी हैड डिस्कस्ड लंबे पैसेजेस. आज आपके लिए छोटे पैसेजेस लेकर आए हैं. चलिए, क्लैट में वैसे छोटे ही आते हैं. The press and public were all fire and fury. Fire and fury मतलब they were all unhappy with something. There was a heated debate, right? So something had become a burning topic. Let's see what that something was, especially in America. So a bill was passed. Which bill was it? By the Senate, according to which the manufacturer of nitroglycerine would, in the event of an accident, अगर कोई event of an accident हो जाता है तो उन पर इल्जाम लगेगा murder का, and will be liable to be sentenced to death by hanging. So अमेरिका में एक बिल ये पास हो गया था जिसने काफी शोर मचाया था, रादर जिसके बारे में काफी शोर मचा था. Britain introduced safety regulation which amounted to a virtual ban. Almost एक बैन ही हो गया था on the import and manufacturing of nitroglycerine. France and Belgium made the possession of the dangerous oil a crime. इन्होंने तो उसका possession crime ही बना दिया था. तो for the time being, what we have been able to understand is that 3 countries की example दी गई है. 3 countries के example में, अच्छा, अभी तक central idea आया नहीं है. अगर आपको मैं कहूँ कि central idea ढूंढिए तो आप नहीं ढूंढ सकते, क्योंकि अभी तक central idea नहीं आया. 3 facts आए हैं. हाँ, ये 3 facts के basis पे we may be able to find or gauge or infer the central idea. For the time being, it has not been mentioned. Generally, last lines में mentioned होता है. Alfred Nobel saw himself face to face with ruin again. Okay, there was only one way out of the dilemma, sort of giving up the whole business. अब इनका एक डिलेमा हो गया था, क्योंकि उसका पोजीशन तो क्राइम डिक्लेयर हो गया था, इतने रेगुलेशन उसके अगेंस्ट हो गया था. सो उनको लगा कि क्या तो मैं बिजनेस ही छोड़ दूं, दैट ऑफ ट्राइंग टू सॉलिडिफाई द ऑयल सो दैट इट कुड बी ट्रांसपोर्टेड विद एब्सोल्यूट सेफ्टी, या फिर उस ऑयल को इतना थिक बना दिया जाता कि ताकि उसका ट्रांसपोर्टेशन बहुत सेफ्टी के साथ हो जाता, किसी को कोई नुकसान होता ही नहीं उससे. द होमबर्ग फैक्ट्री वाज रीबिल्ट. फैक्ट्री दोबारा बनाई गई. while Alfred Nobel continued his search for some solid material with which the oil could be combined. So उन्हें लगा कि if he could find some other material जिसके साथ combine करके oil को thicker बना दिया जाता तो एक बेहतर oil बन जाता और less dangerous हो जाता, उसका transportation easy हो जाता, उसमें risk कम होता. Great. So which of the following can be inferred? देखिए, जब हम बात करते हैं inference की, inference के questions में we discussed last time also the most important thing. There are 2 parameters of the correct inference. One, it is not stated directly. Second, it must be based on facts, right? ठीक. First one, Britain introduced safety regulation. First option को देखें तो ये तो stated है, ये inference नहीं होगा. Why? Because this is a fact. It is a fact given by the author, not your inference. Something that you infer will never be stated by the author. France and Belgium made the possession of the dangerous oil a crime. There's no doubt about it. It is also clearly mentioned in the passage. A bill was passed by the Senate according to which the manufacturer of nitroglycerine would, in the event of an accident, be charged with murder and liable to be sentenced to death by hanging. Well, I believe ये second या third line यही है. ये देखिए. So ये तीनों चीजें clearly stated है. The Senate in America has the authority to ordain departments to take actions. Ordain मतलब order देना, determine करना, instruct करना, right? Then the Senate in America, okay, हमें कैसे पता चला ये? A bill was passed by the Senate in America. That means they can order departments. अब इन्हें कर सकते हैं. If they can pass one bill, they can order other departments to take relevant actions also. Therefore, option 4 can be inferred. अब देखिए मैंने किया क्या है. बहुत आसान मैं कर देता हूं आपके लिए. मेरे पास 3 इवेंट्स हैं, 1, 2, 3, which have been stated by the author. These are events, these are facts, these are given by the author. I cannot infer them. इनके तीनों के बेसिस पे let's take a hypothetical example. First example is there is a boy named X जिसने अपनी क्लास में जाके 2 लड़कों को he thrashed them. He thrashed 2 students, right? In another class he thrashed 4 students. उनको मारा. In another class he thrashed 7 students. Right? In तीनों events के basis पे what have we been able to understand about this boy X? That he is aggressive, antagonistic, right? That's it. That is the answer. He is aggressive in nature. बात खत्म हुई. इसी तरीके से आप इन्फर करेंगे. So ये मेरा इन्फेंस है, ये ऑथर का दिया हुआ फैक्ट नहीं है. ऑथर ने हमें he had given these 3 facts and I was able to infer on the basis of these 3 facts. वो इन्फेंस होता है. Which of the following is not true? The press and the public parried the issue of oil, especially in America. What is parried? This is a vocab-based option and a vocab-based question also. Parried means, oh, I'm really sorry for that. Okay, I need to select it once again. Right, perfect. And I must change the color of the pen as well. Right. Let's get back. Okay. So what is parried? Parried means to sidestep. And what is sidestep? It means to avoid a question. So was the question avoided? Was the issue of oil, especially in America, avoided? Let's see. No. Public were fire and fury when the Senate passed this bill. So there were discussions. Nobody avoided this question. Rather, they discussed it vehemently. So this is not true and we have been asked to find something that is not true. So this seems to be the correct answer as of now. Let's look at other options. There were not many options to deal with the situation. It has been given. After this he says there was only one way out of this. Only one way out. Only one way. So not many options, right? Therefore, this cannot be picked as the correct answer because it is true in the given context. France and Belgium made the possession of dangerous oil a crime. This is also clearly stated, directly stated. This is also not the correct answer. Option A. Let's move to passage 2. One of them was wild, unruly, given to lying and quarrelsome on one occasion. Gandhi ji broke out most violently. कोई एक था जो aggressive था, मारता पीटता भी था, झूठ भी बोलता था. Gandhi ji was exasperated. Gandhi ji को गुस्सा आ गया. He was exasperated. He was furious. I never punished my boys, but this time I was very angry. He says, मैंने कभी अपने स्टूडेंट्स को गुस्सा या अपने बच्चों को जो मेरे फॉलोअर्स हैं उनको गुस्सा नहीं किया, बट इस बार I had to reason with him. मुझे उससे आर्ग्यू करना पड़ा. But he was adamant. वो तो अपनी गलती मान ही नहीं रहा था. Can't even try to overreach me. So he was trying to justify his position और उनको गलत प्रूव कर रहा था. At last, I picked up a ruler. वो जो स्केल छोटा सा होता है. I picked up a ruler lying at hand and delivered a blow on his arm. और उसकी आर्म पे ऐसे मार दिया. As I trembled as I struck him. मैं खुद ही कांप गया. Why? Because Gandhi ji is, undoubtedly he is acknowledged as the greatest champion of non-violence. I dare say he noticed it. पता नहीं उसने नोटिस किया या नहीं या कर लिया शायद. This was an entirely novel experience for them all. This was something new because this had never happened before. Gandhiji had never, been violent to any follower of his. The boy cried out and begged to be forgiven. The boy cried and he begged to forgive him. He cried. He cried not because the beating was painful to him. That was not the reason. He could, if he had been so minded, have paid me back in the same coin, being a stoutly built youth of 17, but he realized my pain in being driven to the violent resource. So it wasn't Gandhiji, or not even Gandhiji's painful beating because of which the boy cried. Rather, the boy cried when he realized that to what an extent he had goaded Gandhiji to be. He had made him very, very unhappy, because when he saw that Gandhiji was trembling when he hit him, he knew how uncomfortable Gandhiji was. So when you notice that, you do feel ashamed, you do feel embarrassed, and that boy was embarrassed. His feelings were hurt. He was repenting it. So never again after this incident did he disobey me, but I still repent that violence. So Gandhiji says that this did not happen again, but I'm still unhappy, little unhappy about it. He still repented it. How does the author remember that violence? गांधी जी कैसे याद रखते हैं उसे? He nostalgically remembers it. Nostalgically क्या होता है? When we remember something with great happiness, oh wow, what a day it was, great, I did something really out of the ordinary. That is not the case here. He finds succor when he thinks of it. Succor is relief. वो भी नहीं. Relief क्या था उसमें? Rather, towards the end he says he repents it, right? He sidesteps the question. Sidesteps करना मतलब parry करना, avoid करना, जो last question में भी हमने देखा था. He remembers it with a sense of remorse. Yes. Towards the end he says repent. Remorse is पछतावा या पश्चाताप. So he says I did not like it. मेरे को वो खराब ही लगता है कि मैंने उसे ऐसे मारा. However, the result was good. What is the central theme of the passage? Violence is sometimes needed. I believe we can pick this one, at least in the given context. I've still not looked at the other options, which I shall, and then we may find a better option. But as of now, this doesn't seem to be a very bad option either. Why? Because the author clearly suggests that the boy was reformed after this. So a little bit of violence, little bit, not in great extremes, right? Maybe a little bit of violence sometimes may be needed. At least a violent, or a turbulent, or a powerful voice, a loud voice, or an assertive, style of communication may sometimes do the trick. Because we need to be understood. We need to convey our feelings. Okay, violence must be repented. Not always. Gandhiji does repent, but violence must not always be repented. Sometimes it is necessary. Violence is the worst policy, an extreme choice. Violence is the best policy, extreme choice. We have not been told about the other policies: honesty, dishonesty, fidelity, infidelity, loyalty, disloyalty, nothing. Therefore, option 1 is the best choice. Okay, next one. Early rising leads to health and happiness. Absolutely right. I don't know how many of you do practice it, but it is really good for health. The man who rises late can have little rest in the course of the day. More than anything else, there are very few hours left with that person who rises late. Anyone who lies in the bed is compelled to work till late hours in the evening. He has to go without the evening exercise, which is so important, which is so necessary for health. Exactly what he's saying. In spite of all his efforts, his work will not produce as good results as that of the early riser. So a person who rises early is likely to produce better results, to be more productive, right? To be able to discharge duties better than somebody who rises late. Okay. The reason for this is that he cannot take advantage of refreshing hour of the morning. It is always believed that in the mornings we are fresh. We have a lot of energy. and that energy helps us discharge duties better. So some people say that the quiet hours of midnight is the best time for working. So there's a contradiction, and I believe we all believe in this contradiction also. We all observe this contradiction, right? There are certain people who would love to rise early and go for work early, get their job done. There are certain people who are late risers and late sleepers, who will sleep late and burn the midnight oil, means work very hard until it is very late. Several great thinkers, several great thinkers say that they can write best only when they burn the midnight oil. So there are many great thinkers who say that they can write the best when they remain awake until late. However, or yet, so change in tone, it is true that few men have a clear brain at midnight when the body needs rest and sleep. Absolutely correct. There are very few people who have a clear and a fresh brain at midnight, because that is the time when a body needs rest. Those who work at that time soon ruin their health. So please take care of it. So those people who work at that time, right, they do a disservice to their health. Bad health must in the long run have a bad effect on the quality of their work, which is natural. If they're unhealthy, they won't be able to discharge their duties properly. They won't be able to do justice to the work they do. So it is always better to sleep early and to wake up early and go for work, whatever it is. Okay, what is the theme of the passage? Early rising is important. Looks pretty logical. Early rising is great for health. I won't go for this one. Great for health. Great is too much, I believe, right? Health is significant for our productivity. Yes. Now see, how do we solve such questions? Let's look at it. There are two parts of the passage. Two elements, rising and sleeping, two very important parts, right? Then he talks about health. Then he talks about productivity, right? How do we do it? How do we solve this problem? How do we solve this? Let's see. It is not very difficult. Health is significant for our productivity. This is an example. Rising and sleeping is promoting, or rather is advocating, right? Or rather supporting or taking us towards this point, health. Rising and sleeping, otherwise in their own, these two words don't have any meaning in the context of the passage. It is in the context of the health. And then anyone who will be healthy, he says towards the end, where is it? Yeah. That means health affects performance. Rising and sleeping affects health. Health affects performance. Therefore, option 3, health is significant for our productivity. Rising and sleeping are only in the connotations of health. Health must be given importance over everything. Extreme choice. We have not talked about other things, so we cannot say about everything. What can you infer on the basis of the text? We must be healthy to be able to discharge duties well. Absolutely right. Very good. Yes, clearly. I mean, it is not clearly stated, but clearly hinted at. Inference is something that the author hints towards. We must sleep early to be healthy. This is not necessary. We must work hard during the night. No, rather he says the opposite. We need to work early in the mornings for the best results. He says this directly. So this is also not the answer. Therefore, this makes the best choice. I hope you have been able to understand all the questions and answers. ये छोटे messages थे और inference और central idea की questions ज़्यादातर हैं इनमें. So I hope आपको अच्छे से समझ आ गए होंगे. So we'll keep, preparing such content for you. We'll keep coming up with such content for you so that you're never ever short of practice. Take care. Bye bye.